like to you, or do you want me to talk to your audience, or how would you like this to go?
Yeah,
how does this usually work?
It's recording, so.
Okay. Hi, welcome here. This is the Canadian Fossil Discovery Centre in Morden, Manitoba. Let's start about why we are here in Morden. Come look at this map. Okay, so the timeline we're talking about is about 80 million years ago, so a real long time ago. This is called the Cretaceous period. That's the geologic time. You might recognize the Cretaceous period because it's full of things like T-Rex and other really famous dinosaurs. Do you have a favorite dinosaur?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
Maybe T-Rex.
Maybe T-Rex. That's the one that, like, the classic. So T-Rex lived here during this time. You can see this is a map of North America, right? You can see kind of the outline of the rest of what Canada looks like, and we are right here. So during the Cretaceous period, North America looked like this. We had a giant seaway right through the middle of it. It was called the Western Interior Seaway.
Before the flood.
Pardon?
Before the flood.
Yeah. And we were right here. So right where I'm standing would have been underneath, like, I don't know, 100 meters worth of water. And because of that, we had a lot of different marine life pop up. Not something you expect from the prairies, but we had a lot of marine reptiles. So while the dinosaurs were here on the exposed continents in the water, you had things like, come over here, mosasaurs. So this is one mosasaur skull. We're going to see a bunch of different mosasaur bones throughout the rest of the exhibit. They range in size. It's kind of a medium one. But you can see his really sharp teeth there. You can also see, if you kind of go underneath his jaw, there's a second set of teeth, right? So we have two sets, top and bottom. He is top, bottom, and then he has a second set kind of inside his mouth. We'll see that on Bruce a little clearer, but I think he's pretty cool. Okay, you want to go meet some of the other dinos? Or marine reptiles. Okay, so Sixisaurus. This guy's really cool. Look at his long neck. So plesiosaurs like this could either be short-necked or really long neck. And when I say long neck, I mean long. Like, okay, if I'm standing here, right, this is where his head is. His neck could go all the way to if you turn right around, till the gates. And then his body would be like way out the door. So how they would hunt is there would be a school of fish hanging out, swimming in the ocean, and the plesiosaur, with his really long neck, would come in and just grab little niblets of fish and then yank out before the fish could find him. And that's how plesiosaurs were able, or long-necked plesiosaurs, were able to hunt fish without, letting them know that they were there and scaring them all away. So, pretty ferocious predators. I wouldn't want to meet up with them if I was a fish. Couple of really cool fossils here, and you can see a picture back here. This is kind of what our dig sites look like. So here at the Fossil Discovery Center, we do tours, but we also still do active paleontology work right here in Morden and in the Pembina Valley. We have a bunch of open sites, and we can find all sorts of things from bones to other types of fossils. So other kinds of fossils, other than just straight up bones, you can find things like skin impressions. Do you maybe want to show the camera a little closer? So that fossil there, a dinosaur would have fallen at some point, and an impression of his scales, kind of like we can see those fish in fish as well, got impressed into the rock. And so we know what texture the dinosaur had at that point. Edmontosaurus is this guy. Pretty cool. This is neat. This is a counter. That UM is micrometers, so it's a millionth of a meter. It's a very small distance. And this is counting the distance in micrometers between here, Morden, and a sister museum of ours in Spain. The thing is that our continents are moving, shifting apart very slowly. about the rate of 1 micrometer per about every half hour. It's very, very, very slow. It's about the rate of your fingernails growing. Pretty wild. So we're able to track the distance between Morden and that Spanish museum using this little counter. Kind of cool. What else should we see? Ooh, okay. There's a lot of animals that were alive at this time that eventually kind of disappeared. They went extinct. But we see some stuff that we also recognize today. So here, these are fossils of squid. So squid today have these things called pens. They're kind of like a spinal column situation. And we can see ancient squids had very similar structures. Pretty neat. We also have things like going forward a little bit in time, we have things like mammoths and bison roaming over the plains. And so when we're digging into the soil to do paleontology work or to do farmers digging up their fields or something and they stumble across some fossils, it could be from the Cretaceous period, so this is the marine reptiles, could be from the Quaternary period. That's like the mammoths and the bison. Lots of you. Have you ever found a bison skull? Tons of people found bison skulls just kind of around. There's used to be a lot of them on the plains. Any questions so far?
No.
Cool. So a lot of our work was actually started because of mining operations locally. Here's a little diagram just to see kind of what that would have looked like. You see how there's layers here? Kind of looks like a dessert bar, the ground. Those are layers of 2 different kinds of rock. So the really dark stuff is shale, and then the lighter stuff is bentonite. Bentonite we use in a lot of commercial things. So it's found in makeup. It's also found in toothpaste. So if you brushed your teeth today, you get a little bit of bentonite probably in your mouth because it helps polish our teeth. So a lot of people were mining, digging up the soil, and they kept finding these really nicely preserved specimens of what we would soon find out to be these large marine reptiles. Things like plesiosaurs and mosasaurs and other things like that. So it's thanks to kind of the working of the land in this area that we were able to discover so much. Kind of neat. This woman, this is a model of a very dear scientist to this museum, Bernice. She's the one who really did a lot of the groundwork for our museum, so we're very thankful for her. Does a lot of good work. Here, we have a nice little microscope here, fun to show people. My favorite is this guy. It's a piece of petrified poop. So as gross as it may sound, poop is actually really, really useful to scientists because it tells us a lot about what an animal was eating. Because if you look really closely, you can see little bits of things like fish bone or scales of other critters. So if we find a piece of poop, we can break it apart and actually figure out what an animal was eating. And that's really, really useful information for scientists, just to figure out, how things live. Pretty neat. Shall we keep going? I really like this diagram. It's a good model of what the environment would have looked like at the time during the Cretaceous period. So again, 80 million years ago. Like I said, we're all underwater, and there's very, very, very little plant life at the very bottom of this. A lot of anoxic environments, so little plant life, but really large reptiles and fish. Oh boy. If you're driving by the McDonald's in town and the co-op, we have a giant statue of a turtle. Make sure you get a picture of that, put that in the video. That is a life-size version of this little guy. So you can get a sense of the scale of how big some of these critters are. But the mosasaur, this one right here, was the king. They are the T-Rex of the sea. And they were the most voracious, predators that we had. Do you want to go see a mosasaur? Well, let us go. Wait, before we get to the mosasaurs, I forgot. Oh, this exhibit's being built. Sharks! Sharks are actually like super old, and so we also have a lot of sharks around here. Here's some. So, one thing about sharks is that they're really well known for their teeth. They have really sharp teeth. Some of these fossils down here are actually still sharp enough that they've cut some of our techs as they've been cleaning them. So a shark can bite you even 80 million years after it's dead. But one thing you can notice, and especially if you come on this side of the glass, and if you look at this shark jaw, do you see how many layers and rows of teeth there are on that bottom jaw? So sharks replace and lose their teeth continuously throughout their entire lives. Humans only do that twice. We're born with our baby teeth, then our baby teeth fall out, and then our adult teeth grow in. And if those fall out, well, I mean, you can get fake ones put in, but that's it. Sharks, though, can just keep going, losing teeth and regrowing teeth for the rest of their lives. So what's really neat about having sharks in the area is that there's lots of shark teeth to be found. You find a shark, there's probably hundreds of teeth that he's shed over the course of his life. That's just kind of waiting around for you to pick up the ground. Pretty neat. Here's some other types of fish, some mean-looking fish that we had in the oceans at the same time. So, Pachyrhizodius. Thick rotted tooth is what his name means. He had these very large kind of fangs. These are not the types of fish that you find around today. They're a lot larger than any fish you would find today, but as well, they're a lot more voracious. Oh, that's okay. Oh, you're good. Oh, look at this guy. Kind of looks like a bulldog to me, and he's a Xiphactinus, one of the most famous fish of this era. Yeah, mean-looking guy. I wouldn't want to run into him. Here is a little window into a paleontologist's work environment. So what we do is we find fossils out in the open, and then we very carefully prepare them, bring them back to lab, and then we analyze them here. Analysis can take anywhere from, 1 to 3 months, depending on how complicated your particular specimen is. But it's very cool. We do use lots of very small, intricate tools. If you want to maybe come up, you can see a little further in. Lots of little dental tools and other things like that. Yeah, so you can see tons of bones in there. Right now, all of our paleontologists are in the field. Okay, best part of the exhibit. We're about to meet the famous Bruce, our big mosasaur. So prepare yourselves. Okay, so for comparison, you said your favorite animal was a T-Rex, your favorite dinosaur was a T-Rex. Here is an example of the size of a T-Rex skeleton. T-Rex were very large.
I thought they were larger than that because of the movie, what's it called? What's that dinosaur movie called, made in the 90s? Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah. Well, this is just his skull. So imagine this on top of a body that's like, several elephants high. Terrifying, yeah. So by contrast, mosasaurs are in the oceans, so they're not quite as tall, but they are very, very long. And their skulls, their jaws, are just about the same size. In fact, this guy's jaw works a little bit like a snake's. It's articulated so it can expand past what it normally can. It can unhinge his jaw and swallow you whole. He could probably eat like a person in like one bite. And you can see, if you look underneath, you can see that second set of teeth that are waiting inside of his mouth to just kind of grab you and drag you in. Yeah, terrifying. So the really cool thing about Bruce is that Bruce was found Along with the other dinosaurs in this exhibit, which we will see, Bruce was found nearly complete within the same kind of location, right here in Morden, actually just a few kilometers away from where we find ourselves here. Hanging up, this isn't the actual dinosaur skeleton. Skeletons are very heavy. You wouldn't want to hang them from the ceiling, they might fall. But you can see them right here. All of these are the real bones. So you can see his entire flipper. So is the equivalent kind of our hand, but elongated so that he can have a powerful swimming motion as he runs through the water. Cool. They actually are. Look how long their spinal column really is.
Touching them.
And then right here, we have Susie, who is another mosasaur. So you can see the differences in size. Bruce there is a very, very large one, but not every single mosasaur got to be that big. Here's Plessy. Okay, so Plessy is she's a short-necked plesiosaur. So not that long neck that we saw earlier, she's a short-necked plesiosaur. Something really cool about Plessy is that she is shaped a little bit more like a turtle. She has armor on the front of her stomach, and that's because Plessy was prey to Bruce and Susie, the mosasaurs. Plesiosaurs were smaller, so even though they were quite vicious little guys, they were prey to those large jaws of the mosasaur. So she has some armor on the front there, just so that if Bruce decides to come along, take a big bite, he gets hit the armor, he doesn't get hit with the soft underbelly that a lot of mammals have, including us. Yeah, pretty cool. Do you have any questions?
No.
Cool. Okay, that's kind of the end of our exhibit. Is there anything you'd like to go see again, or anything you'd like to look at in a little more detail?
No.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us here at the Fossil Discovery Center. Hope you come back.
Okay, bye.